The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who, I think he just wants some gummy bears. Welcome, Jacob.
Dude, that'd be awesome if they weren't falling and trying to kill me.
We'll get to that in a minute because there's actually something very interesting about how they handle the gummy bears here in continuation with the second movie.
Okay.
So we'll get there when we get there.
All right. Why think? Sorry. I got sidetracked.
Audio's playing.
Yes, audio's playing. Why, thank you. Let me introduce our co-host, a man who was just wanting to order some pasta. That's all he wanted. Welcome, Drew.
I do like spaghetti.
Yes.
Anyway, how are you doing today, Jacob?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. It's been feels like it should be Wednesday, but it's Tuesday, so we're recording. Yeah.
I don't know why you think it's Wednesday. It's not been that long a week already.
It's felt like it. To me, it has.
Well, for you, maybe, but for me, it's been all right.
All right.
But anyway.
Yeah. How you been?
I've been okay. It's a busy weekend, doing a bunch of different things, including cleaning up the apartment. Not that you can tell that on the stream right now. But.
Oh, I did that during the weekend.
Yeah. But also a couple other things.
Yeah.
But, yeah. What have you been watching?
Oh.
I know I'm jumping into that before the music finishes the outro, but we're just kind of cooking along right here.
All right, so what I've been watching, I continue watching Kim Possible on Disney Plus. We've watched Spy X Family.
Spy Family, yes.
Yeah, Spy Family, Spy X Family, Spy X Family, whatever it's called.
Spy Family.
Spy Family.
The X is silent.
Oh, okay.
It is there for stylistic reasons alone.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. We watched a friend of ours, Chase, for a Bible study. What else did we watch? I can't remember.
Oh, good night. You would ask me that.
Yeah.
Your boy Kome. We watched one episode of that.
Oh, yeah.
Where the guy from ancient Chinese history got transported into the future and is now going to be the manager for a pop star idol on her rise to fame.
Oh my gosh.
We did watch that.
Yes.
And we watched an episode of Overlord.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Actually, I think we watched 2 episodes of Overlord.
We did watch 2 episodes of Overlord.
But anyway.
Yeah.
I'd seen Overlord before. It's not my favorite show, but
I'd never seen it. Be like it's an interesting premise, and you definitely tell where things go awry later on.
I think that time I got reincarnated as a slime is a better show, where your guy gets reincarnated as a monster in an RPG and has to rebuild a kingdom. I think that does it better. Personally, a Monster Kingdom, but that's just me.
Okay. Gotcha. All right, so I started watching, continuing my run on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
I stumbled across a show that I'd seen a preview to, but I was like, okay, correction. I watched the first episode before, and it's like, why not just try it again? Star versus the Forces of Evil.
Oh, you started Star versus the Forces of Evil.
Yes.
The American Magical Girl show.
Yeah, pretty much.
What do you think so far?
It's unique. It's different.
It is unique.
It's very unique.
Well, I mean, in everything but art style, but that's beside the point.
That is true. It's very much the art style of the time period in which it was made.
I believe the word you're looking for is Cal Arts.
Okay, Cal Art.
They all have the same mouth, and because they all came from that same place for some reason. I don't know why.
That was the artistic style of Cal Arts at the time.
Apparently,
yeah.
Because
everything was in
Steven Universe and Gravity Falls and 2 or 3 other shows. If I actually did more research, I'd actually remember what they are.
Thundercats Roar. Yeah.
Yeah, Thundercats Roar has the same art style.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's not important.
Yeah, it's not important.
I didn't realize you were going to bring up the show that must not be named.
Right, but it's one of those things you just need to talk about sometimes. Air it out. Air the grievances out. Either
Thank you, Teen Titans Go.
And I think we're gonna watch one of those films at one point, aren't we?
We are going to. I don't know if we're gonna have to do any setup to get there, but
Yeah.
I do know that Teen Titans Go to the Movies looks like it's hilarious.
Yes, I agree.
But we also need to do Teen Titans versus Teen Titans Go.
Yes, because that looks good.
Yeah.
All right, so I watched 2 episodes of that. It looks interesting. I think they brought in the unicorn friend, or the disembodied
her.
unicorn head.
I remember her.
That was
That's
interesting.
not the most annoying character I've seen in one of these shows, but it's
I
up
got you.
there.
So after watching the film we reviewed, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch something else. I'm gonna watch something else, to get my mind relaxed or
Mhm.
whatever. Because I have opinions about this film. So
I think we finally found it, folks. I predicted way back on, what was it, episode 6, when we reviewed Anastasia.
Oh yeah,
that there would eventually come a time when our positions in that movie would be switched, where I would love the movie and you'd hate it. I suspect we've reached that movie finally.
maybe
240 episodes later.
right.
Yeah, just for future reference, the reactions we did to the bad guys was episode 250.
Rock
We're
on.
on 251 right now,
Rock
technically.
Rock on. All right, so going back to my childhood, I was a child of the 80s. I was a little guy of the 80s.
No, really?
Nah.
Wouldn't have guessed.
Nah. You see the gray and the beard,
I wasn't going to say anything about that.
but either or.
'Cause people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
That's true. Either or. I grew up watching the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I remember a certain rabbit popping up every once in a while. Usagi Yojimbo.
Usagi Yojimbo.
Yes.
Technically an independent comic that got mixed in with the rest of the TMNT universe.
Yeah. So apparently it's Savage Dragon.
Yes.
Yeah. Of all things. But so I remember I went to a pawn shop, or not a pawn shop, but like a antique shop, and I was looking around, and I just happened to stumble across like the first issue, which Usagi pops in on. It's not his comic, but it's like someone else's comic where he pops into it.
Yeah.
I was like, huh, that's interesting. It's worth like $10. I paid like $1.05. So either or. So I realized that Netflix was doing this Samurai Rabbit, the Usagi Chronicles. I was like, you know what? Be like, I'm gonna throw it on there, see what it's like. I think it's like episode 3 or 4, one of those. It's interesting. He's one of those characters that just like, it's the young man who goes out, believes his destiny is great, and believes that, because my ancestor was this great person, that I can walk around as a Ronin, or I don't have a sensei, I don't have a master,
right,
and do all these great things, and hijinks ensues, and magical shenanigans ensue. And yeah, it's interesting. I might continue it, but it's a little, Yosagi's a little annoying, let's say that, but that's your typical teenage character.
Right.
So I watched, then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna watch something else. And I saw this one, because there again, I'm a true crime nut. I love true crime, absolutely love it. And I saw one,
as long as you don't make more of it.
Yeah, that is true. Oh my gosh, yeah. No. Yeah.
You do not need to be the subject of one of these stories.
No, I do not. No, but I saw something on Netflix, as I was on Netflix at the time, and I saw something that, for the true crime nut that loves understanding these things, yes. For those who don't know who this guy was, don't watch it. Just saying. What I'm referring to is the Confessions of a Murderer, the John Wayne Gacy story.
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't know who John Wayne Gacy is, don't look him up. Let's just say that this guy was a sick individual.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to point out that one of your hosts for this show is really interested in a biography of a man that he just described as a very sick individual.
Yeah. It was fascinating. Do not get me wrong.
I worry for you, my friend.
It's like, no, the storytelling in which they be like, this thing is graphic. This thing is graphic. It doesn't hold punches back. And yeah, definitely do not watch this with your kids. Please do not, because that'll give you nightmares. And there's a lot of stuff you have to explain, and you don't want to explain it. I watched it and I was like, oh, okay. It's like, wow, I didn't know a whole lot. Be like, the guy killed over like 40 people. It stuffed them underneath his house.
Quick question for you. How much of this needs to be on this podcast?
Oh, not much. Not much.
I'm just going, there might be kids listening and you're talking about stuffing a man underneath his house.
Right. That's as far as I'm going to go. Be like, I enjoyed, it was like 3 or 4 episodes.
Right.
And for what it was, I enjoyed it. I was disgusted by it. But at the same time, it's like learning. It's like, because there again, it's always be like wanting to learn more about things.
Right.
And there again, we have an entire culture now that has this true crime obsession.
Mm-hmm.
Would I recommend it to anybody who's just a casual watcher? No.
Good. I won't be watching it then.
Good. There. My job is complete on that. So either or.
Yeah, make your co-host feel creeped out. Moving on.
Yes, clowns, anybody? So to wash my palate of that.
Hezzy's not here.
Yeah, wrong clown.
Yeah, definitely wrong clown.
Yeah.
Anyway, you cleansed your palate.
I cleansed my palate, so I'm finishing my notes. I'm working through my notes, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. Be like, I've watched this show probably multiple times. It's on Netflix now. It got a live action adaptation from Netflix, and apparently the live action is not that good.
If it's the show I'm thinking you're thinking of, it is terrible.
What I'm referring to is Cowboy Bebop.
That's what I thought you were thinking of.
Yes,
and my understanding is the show is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It does not get what the original anime was going for.
Apparently, I watched.
That's my understanding. I haven't watched it.
I watched like 1 or 2 episodes, and I was like, "What in the world is this?" It was different. It was weird. So instead of that, I watched the original anime from 1997, I think.
97.
Yeah, 97.
Sunrise.
Yeah, really good. Be like, yeah, if you've never watched Cowboy Bebop, what are you doing? Be like, if you're an animation fan, go watch it. Now, granted, do you want to watch it with kids? No. Definitely little ones. No.
But if you're watching it, definitely keep those eyes open. There's a joke only a few people who watch that show
get.
Exactly.
So yeah, I started watching Cowboy Bebop while I was doing my notes because I've seen it so many times. Toys in the Attic, the episode, just absolutely incredible. What was it? It's the 2-part episode. It's the 2-part episode where Spike goes hunting for Julia on the planet, and you get the what was it, Mr. the jazz musician who's somehow connected with our as Drew just hymns the theme the tank. But yeah, it's an amazing story. It's an amazing series. Definitely recommend it to anybody who is an animation fan. Obviously, most like casual anime fans like I am really enjoy it. Otakus just love it to death. Can't get enough of it. I don't know how many deep dives I've seen onto Cowboy Bebop, but yeah, definitely recommend it. Go watch it. Go on Netflix. Would I recommend it? Maybe like an older child audience, like an older like teenagers, where they get it because it deals with more.
I saw it in high school.
Well, yeah, that's
when it aired over here in America, but I was in high school at the time.
Older teenagers,
that age.
That age. Either or.
Especially if they
really
like
enjoyed it.
jazz.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my gosh, definitely. You
Can't
love jazz.
stand jazz, I can't help you.
Yeah. Other than that, that's all I've been watching.
You've been busy on the watching front.
Yes, I
from
have.
what I can tell.
Yes, what have you been watching?
What I've been watching. I have watched another episode of Moon Knight. It has got one more episode left coming out tomorrow morning. I'm looking forward to watching that, especially since it's, and of course, next week I'll be able to tell about another movie I'll have watched this weekend.
Same here.
But
hopefully,
other than that, I watched another episode of Love After World Domination.
Oh, okay.
Still one of my favorite shows.
It's
very fun. I've watched a lot of YouTube. Not that that helps you much any.
Right.
What else have I watched? There was something else, but it's left my mind at the moment. Yeah, I can't think of what it was at the moment. I may think of it later.
All right.
But I've been playing some 14. I've Final Fantasy 14. I've been playing some restarted Super Mario Odyssey for the fun of it.
Nice.
And still playing some Tales of Arise. But other than that, yeah, it's I know what else I've been watching.
What's that?
It's staring here right in front of me. I finished season 2 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Really?
Yes.
Honestly, I don't remember how it ended.
It just ends.
It just ends?
Literally. So back up. I talked about the wedding last week, right?
Right.
Well, that was not that 3-part story was not the only episodes they filmed while they were in Australia. They also did one called The Return of the Green Ranger. In which the Wizard of Deception cloned Tommy so that they could have an excuse to have the Green Ranger suit fight the White Ranger suit.
I remember that.
And let the Dragon Zord come back one last time.
Of course.
But that one dealt with some going back in time to
what was it?
I'm getting to that one. That's what I'm getting to. It was colonial times.
Oh, that's right.
In California.
Oh, fun.
As in, somehow in the Power Rangers universe, one of the 13 colonies was in California.
If remember historical data, no, it wasn't. Mexico. It was a Mexican.
Yes, the
territory.
The next one they did where they actually went back in time, literally, like the next episode, much more accurate, possibly to what California would have been at that time, which was the Wild West Rangers, in which we learn that one of the most important rules of Power Ranger lore that's ever been uttered in all of Power Rangers history. Do you know what that is?
No.
Too much pink energy is dangerous.
Okay.
That's a meme.
Okay.
There's a point where she decides since Goldar and I can't remember who else came back. Well, the cactus monster.
Yeah.
For that episode. They come back and while she's stuck back there in the past, because she got sent back to the past while the rest of the Rangers were stuck in the present.
Yeah.
And couldn't help her. So she goes and talks to the Zordon and Alpha of that era. And says, hey, I think we've got some monsters coming, Zordon. I know you don't know who the crap I am, but I was able to get in here, and I know things that no one else from this time period would know, like the fact that Rita Repulsa has the Green Ranger coin right now.
Okay.
By the way, she's coming back. Be prepared. But she suggests that perhaps we might want to have the other 4 Rangers that are available. Or rather, for the rest of the powers that are available at this time, maybe give that to some people that happen to look like our heroes. I'm not kidding. You get Rocco for Rocky.
Rocco.
These are all ancestors of our current team. The Abraham is being played by Adam. Lady Aisha.
Okay. Interesting.
And William.
Billy.
Right. Also, you have the White Stranger.
I remember this was so dumb.
Now, what's interesting, of course, it's Tommy.
Of course.
Of course. But here's the thing. He is in, a white cowboy suit, kind of like the Lone Ranger, except without a mask.
Right.
Because why would he have a mask?
That's just...
But the thing is, around the brim of his hat is a green band. So it's like, yeah, we're taking care of both colors right now. We're just rolling with it. But at one point, she asks Zordon, do I need to be using the pink power coin from this time period? She says, and Zordon says, no, too much pink energy is dangerous. It's a goofy line.
Yeah, it is.
The rest of the season, there was a 2-part Storybook Rangers thing where they got sucked into a storybook. This was where you could tell they were starting to run out of Die Ranger footage for monsters because they finally got around to using the Die Ranger main villain as a monster. And there is one, but they only wanted to use a version of him that didn't have the mask on. I don't know the Die Ranger stuff to know what was going on there, but apparently there wasn't a whole lot of footage of that. So when they wanted to show that character, in this case being the Sorcerer Mondo, outside of Zord footage, the Zord fight footage, there was one point where it's like all they had was like a frame of footage. A frame that they cut out. You could tell they paused the VHS and carefully cut this guy out, stuck him behind a tree to kind of just give us, because they said, oh, Mondo's might be near. We need to be very careful because he's in this part of the book. And they never run into him, but you see this picture, and it's very painfully obvious a paused piece of footage. I'm looking at it going, oh my word, that is bad. That is bad. That is very bad. So there was that, and there was like 2 other like little one-shots that didn't mean anything. The last episode was a Billy episode where a girl has fallen in love with Billy. Okay. And she's made a statue of him in art class because, they had this big art project where they're all doing art projects. Right. It's Tommy's art project sculpture thing that gets turned into the monster, of course. But Billy is I don't remember exactly how it is, but either way, it just ends like strangely enough because, at this point in time, Power Rangers literally was airing once a week. Yeah. So literally while season 2 just ends abruptly, it's because the very next week there was another new episode of Power Rangers, which we would decide to go ahead and mark as season 3. The thing is, the very next 3-part episode that's supposedly starts off season 3 is a crossover episode with Masked Rider. What's interesting about Masked Rider? Only the episodes in Power Rangers are legally still owned by Saban. They lost the rights to the rest of the series. Really? Yeah. So you get this crossover where they're going off and fighting all these Kamen Rider people. It's like, okay, this is fun. This is cool. I remember the show. I actually had some pleasant memories come back as I was hearing the old Masked Rider, theme, musical cues that they used in this. Because this was meant to be like what they call a backdoor pilot. Yeah. To introduce people to it without actually putting it in their own thing. And it only barely connects to the actual Masked Rider show in general, to my understanding. But yeah, it was interesting. And then I got to what I really considered the main reason I was wanting to watch this. Ninja Quest 1 through 4. Okay. Now, later on, we're going to be going over to the Monster Island Film Vault later in the year to review Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, which tells the story of how the Rangers lost their their Thunder Zord powers, right, and got ninja powers. Right. Ninja Quest tells the same story, but it's actually canon. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, is not canon in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, yeah. I know that.
Right. I had forgotten about Ninjor. Okay. Also known as Ninja Dudley Do-Right, Because he sounds like Dudley Do-Right the entire time. This is how he talks at all times. It's like, oh, dude, you just need to shut up.
Oh, okay.
But the writing has picked up in season 3.
Oh, okay.
From what I've seen one or two other past that, and I'm enjoying it. But yeah, it's different.
Cool.
It is different. Other than that, I watched all the way through WandaVision
Again.
Oh,
okay. That's a good series.
Yes.
Very.
I need to go get through Loki before Friday.
Oh, fun.
As that's about as much ready as I'm going to be for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness as I think I'm going to get. But either way,
I agree. There was one thing I totally forgot, and I went blank on it because I wanted to talk about it.
Right.
So Saturday, I get a text from my girlfriend Ashley, and be like, ever since it's supposed to rain because it was supposed to rain on Saturday.
And boy, was that a rainstorm.
Yeah, very late in the afternoon. Not mind you. So the initial idea, we were supposed to go to a park and go walk around and have a picnic. So that Saturday, I'm working on the art for the Batman Superman Adventures episode we did.
World's Finest.
Thank you. Go check that episode out. So I'm working on it, and I get a text from Ashley. It's like, hey, be like, what do you think of this idea? Why don't we have a picnic in your apartment and watch a movie? It's like, oh, okay. And now, granted, we'd had that conversation before about the inspection.
Right. Because there was a semi-maybe inspection today.
Yes. So
sometime this week, but that was starting today.
So I go from 10 o'clock to 4 when she gets to my apartment. The entire time, like cleaning my apartment, like no joke, not right. Just be like the entire apartment spotless.
Yeah, not like my little just straighten up that I've got in here.
Right. Like it was me, like just I was exhausted by the time she got there. I was dead. But we wound up watching because she'd never seen it before, and I was like, because we gone on a few dates prior to that,
right?
And she mentioned me like I never watched Lilo and Stitch. I was like, oh, we need to remedy that.
That's a good movie.
Yeah. So we wound up watching on Disney Plus, and I found the points where Disney edited the film, and it was a little jarring.
Yeah, you found the cut where they edited the film?
The cuts they did.
The original. Oh, you could spot their cuts.
Yeah, I could spot their cuts.
Yeah, we know. We talked about that on our Lilo and Stitch episode.
That is true, but also did we mention the point where it was Lilo is trying to apologize to the red-haired blonde girl, whatever? We're sorry, I'm sorry I bit you. I'm sorry I punched you.
I know that probably came up in the discussion. It has been a hot minute, since we recorded that episode.
Yeah, and there's a part
I haven't listened to that episode since I edited it. So,
I noticed that there's a slight audio edit, and it's just painfully obvious they edited it. And
there's a couple of those.
There's a couple.
But from what I remember, there are a couple of those rough edits.
There are, but the scene that just got me. So I'm sitting there watching, and the scene where Lilo originally hops into the dryer to avoid Nina.
Yeah,
they transform into a cupboard, which
looks nothing like a cupboard.
It's like, oh, okay.
Well, I mean, in all fairness,
right.
They probably could not afford to reanimate the entire scene, so they had to work around where she had to enter into the dryer in order to actually. They had to draw around that. They have the same problem later on in the quote unquote Spaceship 747.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was just like, it's like, okay, let's not do that. Yeah, kind of scene. But I did notice at the end credit scenes, where it's Stitch has got into the laundry where Nani.
We know a Nani. I don't think her name is Nani.
Yeah.
Anyways,
be like Stitch. He's playing in the laundry. He's got the bra on his ears. He's got the towel around his neck. And he's jumping around, and the sister's trying to change the laundry. And the dryer is a dryer. It's not a cabinet. It's the same one, but they didn't change it.
That doesn't surprise me
at all. I was just like, that was too funny. I was like, oh my gosh. Disney, you're lazy. I just said they probably didn't have a budget for it, but
they
still.
probably didn't have a budget for it, and we talked about this in that episode. I think they probably didn't have a budget for it, and they probably had to do it at the last minute,
probably,
to get it done in time. So they did it as fast as they can. And when you are trying to make edits that fast, outside of where they really did reanimate a lot of the whole thing later on there, or they didn't really, they drove over stuff.
Yeah,
but later on during the climax of the film. But I can see this, like, yeah, you probably missed that part, and we only notice it because we're looking, because we know to look for it.
Right. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because I was like, I totally forgot about. I didn't realize that one edit, and that other edit, I'm like, wow, that's painfully obvious. But either or. Because I mean, like, when the sister opens the drawer, it looks like a dryer, except they tried to mask it a little bit. That's the funniest thing in the ever. And then in the end, that's just the dryer again at the very end. But either or.
Anyway,
yeah.
When do we got info and stuff?
All right. So after I rambled about Lilo and Stitch,
yes.
All right. So info and stuff. All right, so this was an article that came out of animemagazine.com. And it's just basically how Sonic the Hedgehog 2 came to existence. I didn't really go into the article, but I brought more information about how the movie is done in theaters. Let's see, it's one of the biggest 2022 box office hits with $161 million United States, Canada, and it's grossed up worldwide by May 1st, $323.7 million. So yeah,
I think it is now technically considered the second highest grossing video game movie ever made. I don't remember what the first one was.
Oh, okay. All right, so for you,
probably Pokemon.
Probably
one of the Pokemon movies.
Probably. So for those fans of ours who are big Pixar fans, today, which is the 3rd of May,
day before Star Wars Day,
Turning Red has come to 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray and DVD today. So there again, be like, I don't have the film yet, so if you picked it up,
and it is on our review list,
yes,
fairly
it is
quickly,
on our review list. Well, that is coming up fairly rapidly.
Yeah, we didn't get it in time for reactions because of scheduling conflicts, but we did go ahead and put it on the review list fairly quickly.
Exactly. So yeah, that is out today. So if you did wind up picking it up, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments wherever you comment. So far as I understand it, that is all the info and stuff I could find.
Okay.
Or at least I know they're doing a Sonic Adventures, Sonic Boom.
Well, no, there is a Sonic Prime TV show coming to Netflix.
That's right. Thank you.
That they released some more footage of today. So I know that's coming. We'll have to see on that.
Yeah. But other than that, yeah, that's all I got. Info and stuff.
All right. Well, then let's go ahead and jump into the spoiler-free section of our review for Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I first saw this film, I think back in it was the same year that the sequel came out.
Okay.
I can tell you when I first saw the commercials for it, I just didn't care.
Okay.
There was, I don't know what it was, something about the way the movie was set up. Actually, I just realized I made a mistake earlier in the podcast.
Well,
I forgot to actually mention our trivia question.
Oh, yeah.
The question was, so our question was, according to the opening credits, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs was made by whom? PaulJPowers.com suggested that the answer might be the Spaghetti Monster.
Huh.
He was wrong.
Wrong!
Now, there was one other person who actually answered correctly.
Okay.
But before I read his answer, Jacob.
Yeah.
Who made this movie according to the opening credits?
A lot of people.
Exactly. And that's what David Gardner answered. He got the answer. He got the question this one right. I will be asking another question at the end of the episode. My apologies for forgetting that until now. But
it's all good.
I can tell you when I saw that credit the first time I watched this movie, I thought, really? That's taking this kind of I don't know what else. It's like, really, we're saying that? Okay, cool. Whipty, you don't want to put your own director's credit on there? Fine, whatever. But the only reason I even watched this movie originally was because I saw the trailers for Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2.
Okay.
And there is a single joke in that trailer that actually made me laugh out loud enough to actually think about wanting to see the second movie.
Really?
And if I'm going to see the second movie, I need to watch the first. And you want to know what that joke was?
What would that be?
So the thing about the second movie is that the food has mutated and is coming alive.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a part in that trailer where Flint Lockwood says, or he points down at the boat because they're coming in on the island in a boat. He says, "There's a leak in the boat." And the camera shifts over, and it's literally a walking, talking leek, as in the vegetable. It screams, and I laughed my butt off. It's like, okay, I want to see this movie just to see how stupid this is going to get.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to see how stupid this movie is going to get, I need to see how stupid the first one is. And that's the reason I originally watched this movie. And I actually do think that this movie has some issues.
Yeah.
I will grant you. It's not as funny as the second one, but this is definitely a Lord and Miller production. And I kind of like this along with the second one for the same reasons I liked the first Lego movie. But yeah, if you enjoy those kind of movies, I suggest watching this. If you got kids, this is a pretty safe bet.
Agreed.
To plug in. I think most people at least get kind of a Looney Tunes kind of vibe off of it. It does have a good, decent story, and there's a lot of great visual gags throughout the movie. But yeah, I enjoyed it. So, Jacob, stab me through the heart, if you will.
All right. So my first viewing of this film, I didn't watch it in theaters because I thought it looked dumber than a brick.
Like I did.
Yep. So I wound up buying it as a part of, I think it was like Black Friday, like a Black Friday deal. And like normally I get a large bundle of movies at that point because it's cheap and you get a stack of films. Why not?
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to watch it at some point in the future. And so I put it in my stack of haven't seen films. So 2021 rolls around and I get invited to a group, which both of us were a part of, 100 Movie Challenge 2020.
That's when we talked about this before, and you said you didn't like this film.
Yes. So this was probably towards the latter of me completing the films. So I pop it in. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing ever. Because they're going to be like, maybe I'm tired or something like that. But I just remember not liking this film at all. And I remember very clearly discussing this at length, how much I didn't like this film. So I
didn't immediately put it on the list then. I have no idea.
So, a couple of years, like I finally dig it out of, get it off my shelf and go to watch for this review. And I looked at it and I was like, wait, we're doing this film. Okay. So, watch the film, be open-minded with it, and watch it. There are parts of the film I kind of enjoy. Then there's parts of it like, I just didn't like it. I didn't like this film at all. There's parts of it I enjoyed, but there's just overall, oh my gosh, no. It's like just some of the, like there again, it is a cartoon. It is a cartoon designed for children to watch and enjoy, not for adults to think about. And I will get into my likes and dislikes later, but I have a strong disagreement with this film. There are parts of it I enjoy that are kind of nice, and other parts I just absolutely just yeah. and we can get in and discuss that. We can debate it. Drew can try to sway me from my.
I know I won't be able to sway you. I know how deep our opinions ride in the show.
But just like, yeah, it's like if it's a kids movie, so yeah, kids are going to enjoy it. Yeah, so I feel like it's definitely family friendly, but I just didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. And it's gonna be interesting when we do the sequel.
Oh, because we're gonna do the sequel. I actually think the sequel's better than this.
Oh, okay. Kind of like the Addams Family.
Yes.
Yeah.
And ironically, I think that's the same production company.
Oh, wow.
I think they're both Sony Pictures Animation.
It's Sony. Oh my gosh, I could see it now. Anyway.
Yeah. So that's your opinion.
That's my opinion.
Of spoiler free.
And I'm sticking to it.
Okay. Well, Deela, why don't you go ahead and give us a intermission, and we will get to spoiling this thing on the other side. Don't forget that you can download. Don't forget that you can. Don't forget that you can listen to us record the podcast live every Tuesday over on our Facebook page, The Cellcast, our Twitch channel, The Cellcast Gaming, and on YouTube at Cellcast. Also, don't forget to join our Patreon if you would like to support us monetarily. At $1, you'll get our everlasting thanks. At our $5 tier, you can get some artwork from Jacob. And on our $10 tier, you can get bloopers for every episode we've released that I've remembered to release them for. And you can get commentaries from different movies. So come check us out over there if you would like to support us financially. Every other week, join the Retro Rewind Pod as they travel back 15 or more years along the entertainment space-time continuum in their mission to review movies and games, establishing what is still worth your time today. Expect fun banter and trivial insights from Francisco and Paul, the Master Interrupter Powers, and rotating guest hosts who are all out of time. Do you like Star Wars? I don't just mean the original trilogy. Along with that, I mean the prequels, the sequels, the anthologies, the animated shows, and of course, who doesn't like Baby Yoda? Well, if you've been in the fandom for any length of time, you know how toxic the fandom can get. And if you'd like to be able to discuss a galaxy far, far away in a much more positive light, might I suggest searching out The Outer Rim, a Facebook group dedicated to all of Star Wars, and check out their YouTube channel, which you can easily find at Pop Americana, which the podcast you're currently listening to is also a part of. To find that and more, check out the link in the description. The following is a spoiler-filled review for the movie Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Listener discretion is advised. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs was written and directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, and they also directed and wrote the Lego Movie and Spider-Man Enter the Spider-Verse.
Oh, okay.
It was also somewhat written by Rob Greenberg, who also wrote some episodes of Frasier. It is based on the book by Judy Barrett and Ron Barrett. Getting into the cast, we have Bill Hader playing Flint Lockwood, and in the movie Inside Out, he plays Fear. Anna Faris plays Sam Sparks, and she was Cindy in Scary Movie 4. You can tell I didn't have much to pull from there. James Caan was the voice of Tim Lockwood, and he was Sonny Corleone in The Godfather.
I still need to watch that film.
I do too.
Series of films.
Andy Samberg was the voice of Baby Brent, because that's all they really refer to him as. We never got a first name. But he was Jonathan in Hotel Transylvania. Bruce Campbell was the voice of Mayor Shelbourne, and he is most well known for playing Ash Williams in the Evil Dead trilogy.
Or Bernardus.
That too. But I know him from Ash, as Ash. But not to be outdone by Bruce Campbell, we've got Officer Earl Devereaux being played by Mr. T. who is most famous for playing B.A. Baracus in the A-Team.
Mm-hmm. Or Rocky 3.
He didn't play B.A. Baracus in
No,
Rocky 3.
he played who did he play in Rocky 3? Come on, Jacob. Come on.
I don't remember.
He plays a boxer. He defeats Rocky, and
I know this. I just don't remember the character's name.
yeah, I'm losing my.
I've never actually seen Rocky. It's just I know Mr.
What?
I've never seen Rocky.
What? I'm kidding. I'm not like another sibling of mine would have probably berated you for not watching Rocky at this point.
Anyway,
just kidding.
That's all right. Bobby J. Thompson voiced Cal Devereaux. That was his son.
Mm.
And he played Stanley in That's So Raven.
Oh, okay.
Benjamin Bratt was the voice of Manny. That's the cameraman.
Mm.
And he played Ernesto de la Cruz in Coco.
Oh.
You know, the villain of that one.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Right.
Neil Patrick Harris was the voice of Steve, the monkey.
Oh, yeah, the monkey.
And he was Dr. Doogie Howser in Doogie Howser MD.
Mm-hmm.
Among a lot of other things more recently,
Yes.
but I don't know them. Kingdom Hearts connections. Ariel Winter was additional voices here, and she has played young Kyrie in Kingdom Hearts. Jess Harnell was additional voices here and played both Dr. Finkelstein, Locke, and additional voices in Kingdom Hearts. Paul Eiding was additional voices here, and he played Colonel Roy Campbell in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate from on the Metal Gear Solid stage.
Gotcha.
And Steve Mayer and Jonathan Williams and Paul Kegg were all musicians that were involved in this movie, and were also musicians in Kingdom Hearts 3 specifically. Jonathan Williams and Paul Kegg were both cellos. Steve Mayer was a double bass. Which brings me to the end of the Kingdom Hearts connections. What do we got in info and stuff?
All right. So info and stuff. On IMDb, it has a 6.9 out of 10. If you subscribe to Netflix, it's available there.
Which is where I watched it.
Mm-hmm. I watched it on DVD combo pack.
I watched it, strangely enough, with the audio description turned on.
That would be interesting.
There's an interesting point later on. Well, I can go ahead and say it now, right quick. There's a point in the film, you know, when the ice cream is everywhere.
Ascending, yeah. Or descending. Descending.
They're talking, and Sam is saying stuff like, oh, you got strawberry over there, and look, even Steve has got some chocolate pieces. And it's very obviously not chocolate pieces.
Oh.
And the audio description, since it has to explain this joke for those who can't see it, says, they may not be chocolate pieces. And that got me a good laugh.
Oh my gosh. All right. So production was by Columbia Pictures and Sony Pictures. Distributed by Sony Pictures Releasing. Release date. Where do you think this was originally showed?
Where did it originally get shown?
Yeah, originally.
Cannes
Film Festival.
Yes.
Well, according to information, it was first shown on September 12th, 2009 in Los Angeles.
Oh. I was just making a guess. I had no idea.
A couple of days later, on September 18th of 2019, it was shown the United States wide and world release. It had an estimated budget of $100 million. Its opening was $30.3 million on September 20th. Its US and Canada gross was $124.8 million. And its world gross was $243 million. Also going in home release. The film was released on DVD and Blu-ray and PSP UMD.
Oh, I remember that format.
On January 5th, 2010, in the United States and Canada. A 3D Blu-ray was released back then when the 3D Blu-ray was a big thing.
Yeah, but this does not look like it was made with 3D in mind when they made it. This doesn't have the same usual 3D effects, but it would have nearly had to have been because this is long after they were still doing the 3D stuff.
Right. All right.
The gimmicks. That's the word I'm looking for. Gimmicks.
Got it. That was released on June 22nd, 2010. It was the first 3D Blu-ray sold individually in the United States. Sequel? Yes, there was a sequel.
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2.
Was released on September 27th, 2013, with a box office return of $274.3 million.
Okay.
That's all I have for info and stuff.
All right, getting into the summary, which will be a lot shorter than last week. Aspiring scientist Flint Lockwood lives with his widowed father, Tim, and his monkey assistant, Steve, in Swallow Falls, an island in the Atlantic Ocean, literally under the A in Atlantic, with an economy based on sardines. As sardines are considered unsavory by the rest of the world, I think the New Yorkers would might want to say something about that. Because they like it on their pizza for some reason. The island's economy declines, forcing its citizens to subsist on a mainly sardine-based diet. One day, Flint develops the Flint Lockwood Diatonic Supermutating Dynamic Food Replicator, also known as the Flidsmurdifer. I probably said that wrong, but it's close enough. Flidsmurdifer. I'll have to say that again here in a minute, so that'll be fun. It's a device that converts water into food in an effort to expand the town's diet, much to the chagrin of Tim, who, annoyed by Flint's failed contraptions, wants him to run the family business instead. Flint's first attempt to plug the device in knocks out the house's power, so he connects the Flidsmurdifer to a local substation, overloading it and sending it rocketing across town, demolishing Sardine Land, a sardine-themed amusement park meant to revitalize the town, and disappearing into the sky. The chaos earns Flint the ire of the town, along with that of Sam Sparks, an amateur field reporter, and the disappointment of Tim. Soon after, cheeseburgers begin falling from the sky, and Flint realizes the Flidsmurdifer is functioning successfully in the atmosphere, using the condensation from clouds to create food-based weather systems while keeping itself afloat. Swallow Falls rejoices in their new food choices. They've renamed themselves Chew and Swallow and making a food tourism destination, making Flint an international celebrity. Flint and Sam grow closer after she reveals that she was teased as a child for her glasses and her fascination with meteorology. However, Flint notices that Flidsmurdifer food has begun to gradually become bigger in size due to the Flidsmurdifer's creations mutating exponentially in the atmosphere. Having been overloaded by the massive amounts of water vapor, he attempts to warn the town's mayor about the Flidsmurdifer's malfunction, though the mayor is too concerned about profit and ignores him. After a tornado made of spaghetti threatens the town, Flint attempts to shut the Flidsmurdifer down, only for the mayor to inadvertently destroy the console while trying to stop him, causing the machine to become rogue and create a massive storm. Flint creates a USB flash drive designed to shut down the Flidsmurdifer and uses his repurposed flying car to reach it, accompanied by Steve, Sam, her cameraman Manny, and the town's former mascot Brent. Upon reaching the Flidsmurdifer, they discover it has surrounded itself in a giant meatball-like object made of food for protection. As the group reach the interior, the flash drive is destroyed, prompting Flint to call Tim and instruct him to email the drive's code to his cell phone via his laboratory computer. Finding the Flidsmurdifer, Flint connects his phone with his flash drive's code sent by Tim to it, only to discover that the wrong file was sent. All appears lost until Flint uses his spray-on shoes formula on the machine, causing it to explode and destroy the meatball, ending the storm. After surviving the destruction, Flint reunites with Tim, who finally shows appreciation for his son's inventions, and Sam, whom he shares a kiss with. Earl Devereaux has the exact opposite hairstyle of his voice actor, Mr. T. I'm in the trivia, by the way. Instead of a T-shaped mohawk, Earl sports a T-shaped bald patch.
You're right.
Neil Patrick Harris was originally offered the role of Flint, but he felt that the role of Steve was much more interesting.
Continue.
The external appearance of Flint's laboratory is modeled after Wardenclyffe Tower, which was Nikola Tesla's laboratory for wireless transmission experiments. The plot of the film has almost nothing in common with that of the book, outside of the fact of food falling from the skies and the town being named Chew and Swallow Falls. So yeah, if you hate the fact that it's called Chew and Swallow, it's the book's fault. At around 4 minutes, the island on which the town of Swallow Falls is located corresponds to the real-life geographic location of Bermuda. This is implied at the beginning when the island is said to be under the first A in Atlantic, as Bermuda is the only island in the West Atlantic north of the tropics. It is later confirmed on a weather map towards the climax of the movie at around 45 minutes, when the weather storm is clearly seen to originate several hundred miles off the coast of the Carolinas. And lastly, this was the first Columbia Pictures and Sony Pictures animation film to have an altered logo sequence.
That's true. Good.
So, Jacob, I'm interested in what your first like might possibly be.
Okay. My first like is actually, it's a very colorful environment. It's very much a kids movie, but at the same time, the use of color in this film is very not staggering, but it's very well used. The color palette is very poppy.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. It's very attractive to the eye. I definitely, when you get into like when the sky is falling with food, be like, it's the use of colors there very well, and it sets the mood very well. Definitely when Flint Lockwood's machine goes awry and starts destroying everything. The environmental color shift. And the use of color in this movie is very well done. I applaud the movie for that. It does have very interesting. The use of this color palette is very well done. Yeah, color. All right.
My first like is the logic of this movie and how it sticks with the logic.
Really? Okay.
No, let me explain.
Okay.
This movie does not follow what I would consider the normal laws of science.
No, you think?
They kind of have to be bent quite a lot in order for food to rain down from the sky.
Yeah.
Granted.
Water and nuclear fusion.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of hand waves. Like, yeah, water goes on the top, food goes out the bottom. That's all you really need to know. And he can somehow program the machine from a distance in order to do this.
I have questions.
I'm not saying it's perfect, but
no.
For a simple explanation, it's like, that's all you really need to know. But the thing is, the way they handle how the food comes down, I think is done very well.
Okay.
The logic of, he can do he can cause it to rain ice cream to the point where it somehow comes down in scoops.
Right.
But then there is one little issue, because when he made the giant Jell-O mold, he couldn't do that all from programming. He had to actually make a giant Jell-O mold to put the Jell-O in.
Yeah. Where did you get the Jell-O mold?
And where did it go?
Yeah, where did it go? Did it go into that massive scrap pile or food pile?
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
There comes a point though in the movie where you have to stop asking what I would consider stupid questions, like, how does any of this actually work?
Right.
And just accept what you're seeing. And once you do that, you'll realize they actually do stick with the internal logic of how all this is supposed to work.
Okay.
So I appreciate that. The only real issue that I have with the logic, because there has to be some, because no movie's going to be perfect with that.
Right.
Why did it only affect the monuments first before it went out. Don't get me wrong, it's a fun, great. There's a lot of great visual images, which I'm going to get to here in a minute.
Agreed.
But the fact is, like, they even say in a very strange weather anomaly, it somehow affected all our giant, all the world's monuments first, and is now expanding out everywhere else. And I'm going,
that's not how weather works.
He said it was a strange anomaly, so I mean,
right.
And it's meant to be a joke. I mean,
know.
You can't think about it too hard, but that is a weird thing there. But yeah, I appreciate how when they set a piece of logic up, they stick with it. And that's my first like.
Okay.
What's your second like?
My second like would be, I think you touched on it a little bit. It has an interesting premise where a scientist is able to create food from nothing, literally just water and nuclear fusion. Somehow.
You're not meant to think about it too much,
right? And I like the idea, the idea of the father and son who don't get along, or the father who's trying to be. He's not encouraging at all. His son's he's never really, he does not express himself.
Yeah,
and I like that dynamic a little bit. I'll get in my dislikes later, but I like the dynamic of the father and son and the way they can't communicate with each other. And I find that very interesting. It has, and again, it does have a very interesting premise.
Okay.
So that's my second like.
My second like actually is the relationship between Flint and his dad.
Okay.
They have a strained relationship.
A little.
Very much so. Flint's father, Tim, cannot express himself to his son.
Agreed.
He has a hard time trying. He wants to say the right thing, but he doesn't know how to say the right thing. And the son is not listening very much. Or not trying to, because for once, Flint, for a change, feels like he's successful.
Yeah.
I'll talk more about that in a second.
Right.
But the fact that you can tell they do love each other.
Yeah.
And they both are not good at talking to each other.
Right.
That's a very hard type of relationship to actually show in a film.
Yeah.
Because it's not the kind of thing most people want to write, especially in a kid's film. Because they don't show Tim is not overbearing. He's trying to do the best he can. He's trying to do what he thinks is right for his son. He just doesn't know what's right for most of the film.
Yeah. Of
course, what's right, he does have what I consider to be the best line for the film in terms of what you have to keep in mind when you're trying to deal with, the troubles we might deal with. And that is, when it looks like it's going to rain, you put on a coat.
Yeah, I agree that I think the father he's trying to direct his son in a more positive direction. He's trying to encourage his son, even though he doesn't have the words to describe what he's trying to say. And I like the way the father is. I'm trying not to repeat myself in this. This is a man who I do enjoy like I said before, the dynamic of these two characters.
Yeah.
And the father's, he is trying so hard to get his son to go be like, I know you like science. I know this, but it's not working. Be like, you need to start thinking about a different path.
Yeah.
And Flint is like, no, this is the path they need to do. And I have a slew of questions regarding that. But there again, it's a cartoon, so logic goes somewhat out the window sometimes.
Right.
But I do appreciate the character dynamic between these two and the father's attempt to not straighten his son out, but more try to guide him more healthy direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
My oh, was that your second? You haven't done your third like
No,
yet.
I have not.
What's your third like? Sorry.
My third like is actually the mayor. the mayor is this man who is, and plus he's voiced by Bruce Campbell. He's voiced by Bruce Campbell. I did not know that until just a minute ago, and I was like, "What? This is amazing!" So his whole desire there again, he's a terrible mayor.
Yeah, he's a terrible mayor.
How did this guy get elected?
He got elected because no one else wanted to run the town, and he wants to be the big shot.
Oh yeah,
but apparently he can't get back to the States to try to be a big shot there, so he tried to be a big shot in town. And he does get to be the big man.
Yeah,
by the end of this film, literally.
And it's his obsession to we need to revitalize the city. We're gonna put it in this very dinky little park that's wrapped around the sardines, and like even though
it's themed on sardines, even though sardines are dying.
Yeah, even though that industry is dead in their city.
Yeah, but they have literally nothing else to base tourism on,
and he uses the entire budget for the year to do it
without asking anybody's permission to do so.
Exactly. So it makes him it makes him a kind of a semi interesting faux villain.
Yeah,
he's a quote unquote antagonist, but he really isn't.
Yeah, no, I would say he's the antagonist because it is his fault. Like things get out of control as they do. Flint went along with it, along with the rest of the town.
Yeah, because Flint is so. He wants all the attention. He wants the glory.
But everyone else was kind of going through that they were kind of forced him to do that anyway. And the mayor was literally being the mayor of the town and putting the town's wants, which was create more food weather.
Yeah.
And he did have I would say I wouldn't call him the villain because I don't think this film has a villain, but he is the closest thing to an antagonist, and he does get his comeuppance at the end of the film.
Well, yeah, be like he literally he
gets attacked by rat-birds.
Yeah, he does get trapped by rat-birds. And his obsession with food becomes his undoing.
Especially after he abandoned the town.
He literally abandons the town on a sandwich,
cheeseburger raft.
A cheeseburger raft in which there again water bright absorbs water.
It's toast.
Still, it's bread, water.
It's toast. And once again, at some point, this film, you have to quit thinking of it logically and look at this cool visual we're doing. You have to admit that part.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's sometimes it's hard to turn that off on me.
Sometimes. I know. This is why you don't like Galaxy Quest either.
We'll get there when we get there.
On SoCast Plus.
Yes. Oh gosh, not again. No.
No. We did that on Movie of the Week, and all those movies have a long statute of limitations before they can be reviewed again.
Yes. But yeah, I enjoy the mayor for who he was. He's literally just trying to revitalize his town. He's trying to make himself the big man. Like you said earlier, he literally becomes a big man. And it's hysterical, his metamorphosis or his evolution into this much larger person because his gluttony gets away from him.
It's almost Kafka-esque.
Okay.
I just went right over your head, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis? Or do you not remember that from literature?
No,
class?
I don't. No, I don't.
We won't get into it now.
All right. Now I can see what you're talking about. Yeah, gotcha. Gotcha. Once I understood what the concept you're talking about, it's like, oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, I enjoy the mayor himself. It's just like he's a funny character. I wouldn't call him definitely the antagonist, but he antagonizes things.
Well, if he's not the antagonist, the film doesn't have an antagonist outside of the general feelings of the town, which I mean, this film does kind of sit on like a fulcrum between character hero versus environment versus hero versus an antagonist,
Right.
admittedly. But I mean, yeah.
And I feel like if the film really had an antagonist, it would be Flint's machine, because it becomes
I would consider that part of the environment.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's working on the logic it was programmed with.
But just to throw this out there, wouldn't the villain of the movie be the inventor himself? Because he's the one who created all of this.
That's hero versus himself, which
Yeah.
also is the issue. But at the same
Yeah.
time, there's a lot of blame to be thrown around.
Oh yeah.
So I think you're correct.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if you want to put it in easy to understand terms, I think you can call the most antagonistic person to be the mayor.
Yeah, I would agree. He's probably the most.
Flint is just as much guilty as everyone else is. In fact, ironically, the person with the least amount of guilt involved in the whole thing might be Baby Brent.
Yeah. Baby Brent.
And Steve.
Agreed.
Steve's just trying to help.
Yeah.
He wants gummy bears.
Yeah. That was a good scene, though.
Yes.
That was a very good scene. Gummy bears!
Anyway.
Right, so that's my number 3 like.
My third like is that there are consequences.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
kind of?
Well, no.
Kind of?
There are consequences.
Okay, go.
There are consequences. Nobody gets scot-free in this film. Gets away scot-free.
Okay. I want to hear your explanation.
Oh yeah. Now, first off, the easy one. The mayor gets pecked to death by rat birds at the end of the film. The town, both through the gluttony they had with pushing the Flidsmurderford to its breaking point through Flint,
right,
and the sheer amount of food waste that they put behind a dam,
right,
that was going to break eventually, and you can kind of see it coming from about 3 miles away.
Yeah. Once they show it, it's like, oh, that's gonna be a problem.
The minute they show the, what do they call it, the fling-away-inator thing?
Yeah, the fling-inator.
It's like, oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, can you actually like
it just flings it elsewhere? It's like,
yeah,
no.
So here's one thing. So as children, we were taught never pick up food off the ground, right?
Yes, but I would say the logic in this town is different.
Apparently,
because how else are you going to eat all that stuff off anyway?
Yeah,
you're not supposed to think about that. But I think there are consequences, because when that dam breaks, the entire town gets swallowed up by all of this
tsunami of food.
Now, there's a lot of other consequences, but the big one is not in this movie.
Okay.
It's at the beginning of the next movie.
Really?
When the villain, there is an actual antagonist in the next movie.
Oh, okay.
I will say that. There's an actual villain in the next movie.
Okay.
Kind of I'm not going to say who it is, because you'll know it 5 seconds into the film.
Okay.
But he kind of kicks them all out of town and takes over the island.
That's a large island.
And the island slowly mutates into a food jungle.
Oh my gosh.
With food-based animals.
It's a food park. It's not Jurassic Park, it's food park.
Kinda, yes, actually. But there are consequences to the actions, not just Flint's and the mayors and the towns. There's everyone, including all the people who are, and they don't get rid of that food that happens to go out to the major landmarks quickly.
Right.
But I mean, you do have that. By the way, did you catch the historical thing with the pies on Mount Rushmore?
I remember the scene, but it's historical. Okay, what?
Right. So, George Washington hit in the face with the pie.
Right.
Is it Teddy Roosevelt?
Yeah, Teddy
Roosevelt, and who's the third one that's not Lincoln?
It's
I can't think right
Teddy.
now.
Teddy Roosevelt?
I already said Teddy Roosevelt.
No, you said
Well,
Lincoln.
No, Lincoln's the fourth one.
Yeah,
He's the one.
Lincoln's the fourth.
The three that are not Lincoln, let's just say that.
Yes.
Before we dig ourselves into a weird hole. They all get the
pie
in the face.
Yeah.
But Lincoln's hits him from the back.
Oh my gosh. And it goes through his nose. Oh my gosh. I didn't think about that. Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. If it was Teddy Roosevelt, it should have went into his chest.
But they never carved that part.
Oh my gosh.
You have to remember, Mount Rushmore is technically incomplete.
It is incomplete. Yes.
People forget this.
Oh my gosh.
But they get...
I saw that
in the back of the head.
I saw that, and it was like, what in the world? But I guess I wasn't paying that close of attention.
It didn't occur to you that there
No.
might have been
a
a
historical
dark historical joke there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, don't tell me the pie's name is Booth, right?
I have no idea. The better question is, why does the Flidsmurtifer make the pie tins that are on those things at the same time?
Exactly.
That's the one time. It's like everything else they make, it's just the food.
Yeah.
Not the utensils needed to eat the food. Except this time where they literally have the pie tins. It's like,
that's not the way this is supposed to work.
That's really the one place where the logic gives way
in order just to do the gag.
But you didn't have to have the top pie tins to know they were pies. Anyways, beside the point.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, there are tons of consequences. Both, we start to see them here, and how it goes into the second film.
Yeah.
And in fact, the climax of this film, there up in the giant meatball, and the fact that the chickens appear to be alive.
Oh my gosh!
By being roasted,
right?
The gummy bears being alive.
I enjoyed that part. Everything else,
flying pizza slices.
That was just.
That is like
the World War II reference was fun.
That's a great start to where they're going in the second film.
Okay.
But I think the designs in the second film are better. Anyway, that's my third like.
Okay.
Now the part I'm actually the most interested in. Jacob, do me a favor and rip this film a new one, as I fully suspect you're going to.
All right. My first is like, I'm not a big fan of Flynn. I'm not a big fan of him. He is there again, be like, the reason I like the father so much, he's trying to direct his son in a good path. Flynn doesn't do that. Flynn, what I suspect is that his mother babied him so much and gave him so much cooing and praising that he's such a great inventor that it's like it's like, okay, he spends his entire life inventing things that do not work. Two, be like, he has a father who's desperately trying to get his son to go onto a better path. Be like, not to disencourage him in a like this like derogatory way, but just to get him to do something that is productive rather than making inventions that don't work. Right. Like, yes, I understand passion. I understand charisma about desire to create something. Believe me, I'm an artist. I get it. And Flint is just he's so determined. They're like, oh, I've got to do this one more thing. I do this one more thing. He is so selfish in his desire to create his food replicator that it's going to be the thing that's going to change the world. It's going to be the thing that changes the world. It does change the world for the worst. And let me continue.
I'm letting you.
Okay.
You haven't repeated yourself yet, so that's why I haven't interrupted.
Good. So Flint, be like, he's so doggedly determined, be like, oh yeah, Dad, I'm gonna watch the store. And literally he runs out the door, grabs his coat, and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hook up to the power plant because I need more power because I'm so yeah, exactly. I'm so determined. I'm just gonna do whatever it takes. And he causes, be like, he literally launches his device into the stratosphere. I'm like, okay. And now it starts raining food from the sky. Okay. So now you can still have connection with this thing. Okay. That's cool. And I love the hero versus self conflict. I love that. I love this about this film. The only problem is Flynn is the kid that was, I was picked on as a kid. We were all picked on as kids in some degrees, some worse.
Yeah.
And he has this ego that he has to be popular. He has to be like famous in some fashion. And he is a man of conflict. He's a man of conflict. And there's points where he's looking at me like, you know what, I need to stop doing this. And he doesn't, because either the mayor's be like he's goading him on, and then you have the people that are like, oh, this is a really good thing, but he knows it's wrong. He knows it's wrong, but he continually over and over and over again is seeing that mark go up and up and up, and he doesn't stop because he's so obsessed. He's obsessed with being beloved and cherished by people that he literally creates a ecological disaster by his ego needs to be more. He's like the mayor. He's like the mayor in a way, because the mayor wants fame. So Flynn wants fame. He wants people to love him. He wants this adoration, but at the cost of his entire town. He literally destroys his own hometown. Yes, people are egging him on. People are doing this, but it's his decision. And there again, going back to the conflict of self, he's always at that conflict, but at the same time, he continually ignores it. It's like in the Christian perspective of ignoring the Holy Spirit, ignoring that urge to do the right thing, go back to God. No, he literally leans into his sin of, I want desire, I want this, and only at the last minute he starts realizing, oops, I made a mistake. It's great that oh, I'm gonna pull all these wacky hijinks to somehow make things better, but it's just I found it very irritating.
Okay.
It's so
to summarize, your dislike,
yes,
possibly in a very mean way, you dislike the fact that this character is flawed, and that's what pushes the story forward. Despite the fact it's actually a very understanding flaw that almost everyone can understand.
It is.
The fact that he finally, after a lifetime worth of feeling like he can't do anything right, he finally is successful, and it's successful enough it looks like it's going to revitalize the entire town.
Right.
And he's aware that there's issues, but everyone keeps goading him on to do more and more, because they don't care what the consequences might be.
Yeah. And there again, he doesn't know what the machine can really do. He doesn't know this.
Granted, from a logical, if we were studying this as whether or not he should have done like this as a person, I'm right there with you. He did a lot of bad things.
Yeah. But
the fact of the matter is, he's not alone in that. Everyone in that town is guilty. To some degree.
I would agree with you.
Of the ecological disaster that befalls Swallow Falls.
Yeah.
And will lead to the issues that come up in the second film.
Right.
I will grant you that, but I would say your problem with the character is just that you don't like how this character is flawed. There's nothing you like about the character in reality.
Well, I mean,
outside of he's passionate and really likes the stuff.
Yeah, I just found it really irritating. There again, characters do have flaws, but my thought was okay, Flint, you realize yes, you are getting success, you are getting all the glory, you're getting attention that you've desired your entire life. I get that.
Yeah.
But
it's very easy to be distracted from the dangers that you should be seeing coming.
Yeah.
Because of all the praise and adoration you're getting. That's kind of how sin works.
Yeah, agreed. I completely agreed. And touche. I just
I'm not saying you're wrong for being irritated at Flint. Do not get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just saying every single thing you put in there is like you're just nailing down the plot of the story. So it sounds like what you don't like is the plot.
That could be it. I just didn't like the plot.
And that's fair. That is
Yeah.
absolutely fair.
So yeah, just to recap what I was trying to say, I just didn't like the plot of the movie. Like I think it's just more be like it's a flawed individual who wants glory, who wants fame, but realizes what he's jumping into and like knows the danger, disregards the danger because of his desires. It like winds up causing you desire. It's just the plot of this film I didn't like.
Now I will grant you, and this might lead into part of my dislike.
Okay.
My first dislike is the fact that this is a film that's set up to be a tragedy according to the ancient terminologies of comedies and tragedies.
Yeah.
Because basically a comedy goes from tragedy to happy ending, while as tragedies tend to start at everything being bright and sunny and going downhill.
Yeah.
This one breaks that rule. Should be a tragedy, and the fact that there is any happy ending at the end, because that's the thing, there is technically a happy ending at the end of this film.
Yeah,
but the problem is it's almost an unearned happy ending.
Yeah, agreed.
Now, I will say, by itself, that is an issue. The problem I have is I already know how the second film starts, which starts seconds after this film ends. So I already know what's about to happen.
Yeah.
So granted, I follow exactly what you're saying, but at the same time, I think if I can't get behind you on not liking the plot, because there have been plenty of times where I thought I was going down the right road myself.
Yeah.
Even though I could kind of see a lot of signs saying turn around.
Yeah.
You're going the wrong way.
Oh, I completely agree with you on that.
And I can completely understand the thought process Flint went through. And the reason I will say that, the mayor is the ultimate antagonist is because the mayor should know better, but he didn't care.
Yeah.
And he's the one who really pushes everything faster.
Yeah.
And in many cases, Flint may have made the turnaround a lot easier had the mayor not been there goading him along, giving Flint the love and support, or at least the support,
right,
or the adoration that Flint's been wanting all this time.
Right.
That, bless his father's heart, the father was not good at showing.
No, he's not.
Just because that's just not who he was.
Yeah, agreed.
I get that, and that's the only reason I go against what you're saying. It's like, like I said, that's the plot of the film that you just said you didn't like. And granted, you're allowed to not like a story.
Yeah,
I mean, your dislike there is very similar to my general thoughts on why I didn't like Anastasia. So I mean, this is literally
it is flipped.
That flipped.
It's flipped.
But because I fully buy into this and you don't. That's fine.
Yeah. Now, great. I do when you explain it the way you just did.
Yeah.
Be like it's like, okay, I get it. I got it when I watched it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just more like, it's like, dude, do the right thing. Be like, you have to do the right thing. But I know he's
not in a position mentally to do the right thing.
Oh yeah.
And there is nobody. The only person who is trying to push him
is his father.
Is his father, and his father is not good at. I wouldn't say not good at supporting. He's not good at expressing what he's trying to say.
Yes,
and the fact that he talks in fishing metaphors and Flint doesn't understand fishing metaphors is the big roadblock there, and it's not until my second dislike.
Okay.
We'll get to it in a minute where that's actually fixed, but we'll get there in a minute.
All right.
What's your second dislike?
Yeah, you already did your first.
I did my first, and my first is the fact that it's a tragic film, as all the earmarks of a tragic film, but turns into a happy ending at the end, and the happy ending does not fit, and the only reason I accept it is because I know how the next film begins.
Yeah, I would agree. I agree with you on that. All right, so going to my second is what do I have down? You want you blank on something. I did have the third act. The third act kind of just to me, the third act really didn't work. And let me explain that. So we were set up with the machine can replicate food
Yes.
with water and nuclear fusion.
And somehow that food is mutating.
Yeah, somehow it's mutating with nuclear, as Flint describes, is it's nuclear fusion with the water overabsorption, that somehow it's becoming mutated, it's becoming sentient.
Yeah.
I just can't get behind the fact that the food become. I know it's a gag in the movie, I get it, but just to me, it's just like I'm watching this and like, this is getting stupid beyond belief. The I know this is ridiculous, but the food itself becoming sentient, and it's just like, okay, that's a weird idea. Like, there again, I want some kind of logic behind it instead of, just be like, oh, it's the water and the fusion and it's being overloaded, so now it's creating a defense force for itself. But either or.
This is magic technology we're dealing with,
exactly.
Not real technology.
Yeah, I know that.
The guy made plastic coverings for his shoes,
which he couldn't get off.
Which he can't take off.
All right, so I just want
to stop the epidemic of the shoes being untied thing.
Yeah. Either or.
There's a point, like I said earlier in the review, here's a point where it's like, you just accept what you're told and move on, because if you think about it too hard, you will ruin the movie for yourself.
Yeah, that's what I think I did with this film. I just overthought it. I had this problem with overthinking things.
Yeah.
So one of my issues with this film is Sam herself. Sam be like, she's this go-getter, she's a meteorologist, or what she's described as a meteorologist in the first.
She's described as a weather girl.
Yeah, a weather girl.
Because that's all. I can't remember the name of the company, the name of the station.
Yeah, Weather Action News.
But it's essentially Weather Channel.
Yeah.
That's what they hired her for, and they hired someone who was cute and perky, because that's all they care about in weather girls.
Yeah.
And she actually wants to study the weather.
Yeah.
So
be like, okay, I'll be like, I'm getting that she's be like, she enjoys her job. She enjoys her job. But the character flaw, the part where her character flaw becomes completely obvious and it completely breaks down, is when she's telling her backstory. She's telling her flawed little story. She wanted to be this. It's like Flint. She wanted to be this scientist, and she wanted to be a meteorologist, and she got this, something 3000 weather machine.
She wanted this weather machine. Yeah.
And so she
happens to be the one she finds in the weather van. And
later ironically, she finds it in the
right.
Yeah, she just brings that thing everywhere with her. Even though it'd be like, oh, I gave up science. Oh, I gave up being a nerd. I'm like, okay, but you're a weather girl. You know all about science. Be like, you don't get hired on by a weather channel to become the weather girl. Be like, yeah, you're cute and perky, but you understand. Be like, you have to have a degree in this stuff. So you did not drop being a nerd and stop wearing glasses, because you still wear your glasses.
Right.
So I'm trying to find the word that it's not a false equivalency. It's just the character describes all these things that she gave up, but she's still that character.
So I'm going to say this with the full knowledge that I don't know how networks, different networks are across the country.
Yeah.
So maybe this is somewhat of a major problem than I'm aware of.
Yeah.
But I do know there is a trope.
Yeah.
That I disagree with completely.
Yeah, agreed.
That quote
unquote weather girl,
quote unquote weather girl, is just there to be perky and bubbly, and the real meteorology is happening behind the scenes, but those people are too ugly to be seen on camera.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing.
Okay, this is just from my own experience.
Yeah.
And admittedly, I am going off of what I've seen on the Weather Channel itself.
Yeah.
What I've seen on our local television stations back when I paid attention to that, which was before COVID, before everything just got too depressing to watch. But for the most part, I don't know many weather girls on these shows. They hire meteorologists.
Yeah.
That people trust.
Yeah, exactly.
The closest thing they do to something cutesy is when they put the weather dog out there.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a weather girl. I don't know. I don't know what the gender of the dog is. But anyway, maybe this is a thing in like bigger networks where they are literally just trying to get higher ratings by having a cute, perky girl being on presenting the weather because nobody wants to watch the news anyway.
Right.
I am not aware of this actually being a thing.
Right.
But I've seen it on television.
Right.
And in movies for years.
Yeah.
In fact, the only time I can think of off the top of my head where this wasn't the case.
Yeah.
Was in Groundhog Day when Bill Murray is the weatherman.
Yeah.
That's the only time I can think of it. And there it makes sense because, he needs to be the weatherman to go cover Punxsutawney Phil.
Right.
I don't know where this comes from. And I agree with you. This is a stupid plot point.
It is. It's very stupid.
But I also get the idea that in some of these other places where there is a high degree of what we would call, I think the modern term would be patriarchy, though I hate this term.
Right.
But I think where the glass ceiling for women is harder to break through.
Right.
I can see where maybe this might come up. And the idea that she might, in order to better impress the people she's working with, in hopes that maybe she'll finally get the big break, because this was her big break.
Yeah.
But finally get a big break that people aren't just going to make fun of her for.
Yeah.
Even though that's kind of what this was. It was the break. They sent her there because nobody else wanted to go.
Yeah.
I can see why she would change almost everything about herself. I can see her thought processes.
Yeah.
She shouldn't have to, mind you.
Agreed.
I agree that she shouldn't have to.
Right.
But I can see why she thought maybe she did.
Yeah.
In order to try and get ahead. And that's about the only way you can show a woman trying to get ahead on children's television, because there are other ways they can try. They would not nice ways.
Right.
That we know has happened in the past.
Right.
But you can't show that on kids' television.
Of course.
Or kids' movies. So
exactly. I completely agree with your point.
I think that's why they show that. But like I said, I don't know of this happening myself.
Yeah, agreed. My problem with this point, like there again, I agree with you. It's a stupid plot point.
Mm-hmm.
It's a stupid plot point. Be like, she's a weather girl. It's like
maybe this is just me, but I assume the person who's presenting me with the weather actually knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And is not just following along with what a teleprompter says.
Yeah, believe me.
Teleprompter.
Yeah, be like,
your words in the right order, but I assume they wrote what's on the teleprompter.
Yeah, because I've met a few weather meteorologists. Be like, yeah, they are nerds through and through about weather and about science and all mathematics, the whole enchilada.
And that is perfectly fine. I want that. I want the person who's telling me the weather to actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah. So this say be like, oh, she's saying she's not really a weather girl, but we know she's really a weather girl. Be like, she's an actual meteorologist. She knows what she's doing. It's just like, it's almost it's a stupid plot point. Just tell her she's a meteorologist and be like, it just irritated me.
Yeah.
Beyond belief. I'm like, really? This is a stupid plot point. Oh, we need to give her a sad backstory that can relate with the main character.
Not to mention, it actually leads to one of my least favorite jokes in the film.
Okay.
When she's telling her story and she pulls out her glasses, Flint goes to put them on her because he wants to see what she looks like, because he thinks she's going to be cute. We, for a short second, get to see what she has been seeing without her glasses when she looks at Flint.
Oh, yeah.
And it transforms into the Flint we see. So she's just as shallow as everyone who's been working with.
Exactly.
It's like, you were this close to showing that this was a better character, a better person than most of the rest of the people in that news crew.
Yeah.
And you failed.
Exactly.
Now, granted, she still goes on to fall in love with him later on, but at the same time, it's like, for a short second there, it's like, you were close to making this a better person. But anyway, she's just as flawed as everybody else. I'm not going to complain about their characters being flawed myself.
Yeah. I think characters.
I defended it a minute ago.
Yeah, I agree the characters need to be flawed.
Yeah.
And a good flawed character is a good idea.
Yes.
But when they're overly flawed, that's where I have problems. And definitely when your plot is just evolving around this whole thing, it kind of drives me nuts.
Yeah, but I mean, this is, like we said, a cartoon where they exaggerate things about characters.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And this is very much in line with what Lord Miller would do with the Lego Movie later on. It's not as much as Spider-Verse that doesn't do this. Thankfully.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Or at least not as noticeable. But here, they're definitely going for more like, this is just a straight-out comedy. There's a story here that you're supposed to catch, but you're not supposed to take the story incredibly seriously.
Yeah, I think that's where my main problem is you mentioned comedy.
Yeah.
Because there are comedies for me, be like, I've said before, with comedies, it has to be like, give me
the comedy has to make sense.
The comedy has to make sense. And a lot of this comedy in this movie doesn't make sense to me. Or it's just be like, it's not.
You like situational comedy, not jokes.
Yes, exactly.
I get that. I really do understand that.
Yes, thank you.
I just think I read more what you would consider jokes as situational comedy. And I think that's the difference between us.
Right. Okay.
But anyway, to get to my second dislike.
Yes.
Why does Steve's translator work on Tim?
Because he puts the headband on?
No. That ain't a good enough reason for me.
I agree with you. It's a stupid reason.
It's a very stupid reason. Because here's the thing. I get that idea, the evolution thing is probably where they get this idea that this work.
Yeah, which evolution does exist.
We won't get into that right now. But somehow Flint was able to create... Here's the thing. Flint was able to create a device that translates the thoughts of people into words that they can't say. He did it for animals, admittedly.
Yeah.
It would work on more than just Steve, I would assume.
Yeah.
And that did not get him noticed by the scientific world at large.
True. That is so true. And also think about the bird monkeys.
Yes, the rat birds.
The rat birds. Like that's
granted, that's and admittedly that actually, you look at all the inventions he did.
Yeah,
they are foreshadowing what's going to happen with the Flidsmurtifer, because he's very passionate at the beginning, and it kind of just tails off at the end.
Agreed.
But why? I don't like the fact that Steve's translator works for Tim to get out what he's wanting to say.
Right.
Because maybe this is just me. I'm usually, if I am having a hard time getting said what I want to say, it's not because I can't get it out of my mouth. It's because I can't get it through my skull.
Yeah.
Which means that translator wouldn't have worked for me either.
Exactly.
It wouldn't have got that translator is doing more science magic than the Flidsmurtifer was doing.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't have worked on Tim. It should have only worked on Steve for it to be viable as to why it.
Yeah,
that's one of those things. Like, that seems like someone thought of it as like, we need a way to finish this out. We need a way to get Tim to say what's actually on his heart.
Yeah.
To Flint, but we can't think of a good enough way to do it naturally. Oh, hey, we've got this Deus Ex Machina thing on the joke monkey. Let's just use that.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. That's the joke monkey. Having on the joke monkey, so the monkey you get. I mean, Doug in Up is the same thing, but they never stupidly put that on a human and expect it to work, because even a monkey brain that is, my understanding, even biologically, has some similarities with the human brain.
Yeah.
You would still have to, I assume, calibrate it for that brain, so it shouldn't magically work for a human.
Yeah.
Logically.
Yeah, logically.
There is no calibration. There is no tuning a thing here and there, because the human brain is going to be about 1,000 times more complex than the chimpanzee brain. Granted, I understand magic science.
Yeah,
totally throughout the rest of this movie. And if I wasn't trying to come up with dislikes, I probably would. This would be something I still didn't like, but I wouldn't care as much about it.
Yeah,
but that is that is lazy writing.
Yeah, I agree.
That is very lazy writing to get that out there.
Yeah.
Now this is better in the second film, I will admit. Their relationship. Maybe it's because they got it out here. I don't know.
Yeah.
But in this one, it's like all you had to do was get Tim to say simply, "I'm proud of you for what you're doing, and I'm sorry that I can't say that very easily most of the time."
Right.
That's all you had to get him to say, but you give him this entire soliloquy that he should be, that he's saying through this voice box, because you couldn't find a way to make the fact that he couldn't say this out loud normally where it would make sense, except going through your Deus Ex Machina thing. It's annoying.
Yeah, agreed.
That's an annoying thing. And it's one of those things that makes me wonder. Granted, I have not looked at the book, so I don't know, but I assume this is not something in the book.
Apparently.
Because that trivia said it has almost nothing, the book and the movie almost have nothing to do with each other. But I wonder if they came up with this first. When I see something like this, it makes me wonder: is this the reason that's in there? And they had to pepper it throughout the rest of the thing to make this funny joke.
Probably,
because funny jokes. It could not be. It could be that they wrote that in there as a joke, much like the roaming TV, or the shoes,
right?
Except the shoes are a plot point, because it's the shoes that it's his shoe things that allow him to actually save the day at the very end of the film. So I mean. On one hand, kudos for taking this thing logically in the universe and that you wrote as a joke and actually making it useful elsewhere.
Right.
But at the same time, have the character grow up and actually grow as a character and get to what he needs to say when it's hard, instead of relying on this piece of magical tech to get it said.
Yeah, agreed.
Because here's the thing. I get that this is meant to be a kid's movie, but I mean, a lot of characters, there's not a lot of character growth in this, which is the thing that annoys me.
Yes, agreed.
Flint does at least have some character growth, but it'll get a little bit reversed in the next movie, unfortunately, because of character flaws. But I will say it's a character flaw thing, because you'll understand what I mean when you meet the antagonist of the next film.
Oh, okay.
But I hate the translator. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of Steve in this movie in particular. So it really does feel like the character was created for this one moment to make sense. And I don't like that you have an entire other character for that purpose. Now, I think Steve was used better in the next film, but it's no secret. I have not made it a secret that I like the next film better than I like this film.
I gotcha.
But anyway.
And with the track record over the writers and the whatever, definitely connection with the Addams Family, Addams Family 2, it kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Phil and Lord didn't do the Addams Family movie,
but the writers did, right?
Phil and Lord wrote it.
Well,
it's made by the same animation studio.
Okay. Well, never mind. Anyway,
there were creative people involved that may have done better,
right?
With those,
I agree.
That follow that. But yeah. What's your third dislike?
My third dislike. The ending of this film. This jumbled together happy ending. Oh my gosh. It's okay. Flint has literally descended food upon the entire planet. Now, granted, it's his fault, but not entirely. It's not all entirely his fault. Yes. As we stated before, it's not entirely his fault that he, at the last minute, decides to save the world from his own disaster. And just the oh my gosh, the like you said with Steve, the translation, and be like, oh, I'm still in love with you, and all. It's almost like a forced ending to me. That's what it feels like.
It really feels like they wrote themselves to a point where it's like, yeah, we're to the climax, and now we don't know how to end the film.
Yeah, exactly. It's not.
So we're just going to wrap everything up in a nice bow.
Yeah, because right now, be like, I haven't seen the second movie, so I have no idea what happened. So my thought was like, okay, is Flint going to be like he's the inventor of this machine? like, granted, like I said before, but like he's not solely responsible. He
Mhm.
is the one who created it, but those around him kind of pressured him to do things. I'm just more like, okay, just what happens next? Be like, does Flint be like, does the world yay, he did this one thing, but he literally destroyed the planet in this ecological disaster. And we get this very awkward ending with everybody gets their happy ending except for the mayor. He gets pecked to death by, rat birds. But it's just an awkward ending. It's like, okay. It's like, yay, our main protagonist gets with the girl and everybody's safe from the, food disaster. Yay. This was a weird ending. It was a very weird ending.
Yeah.
That's my number 3.
My third dislike, not all the jokes hit.
Oh, agreed, they don't.
Granted, I can accept this as the Looney Tunes cartoon. I kind of look at it as, but not all Looney Tunes cartoons are funny. I think this one is akin to like this to me is like your standard run-of-the-mill Elmer Fudd chasing Bugs Bunny cartoon. Not necessarily bad. It's good. It's enjoyable. But this is in no way, shape, or form something like what is the name of that one? This is not like up there with like the one where Daffy and Bugs team up to go up against Elmer Fudd.
Yeah.
The duck season, rabbit season, fire one, that one.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of that one. This is not that. This is not Duck Amuck. This is not What's Opera Doc. This is not that. This is kind of your Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner movie.
Yeah.
You get right down to it.
Logic goes out the window.
Logic goes out the window. You're just supposed to accept what you're seeing. The story is there solely as an excuse to get from one joke to the other. That's not to say they're bad. It's a bad story,
right?
Mind you. I think it's a story that is good despite how the process of how it was made.
Yeah.
Despite of what it's doing. But it's also a very basic.
Yeah.
Very basic story.
Very basic.
There's nothing there was no experimentation with this other than let's do a bunch of visual gags because it's a kid's movie and that's how you keep kids happy is you have visual gags. Granted, I love visual gags. There's a lot of good visual gags in this film. But it's a lot of this kind of stuff you see everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, we just talked about earlier the gags of all the world's monuments getting attacked by the food. That's really not much different than Despicable Me 1, where they show all the different versions of the world's monuments that Gru might steal next, or that someone might steal next, and one of them is the big beer. Out and so that's not any different than that. It's almost like the same setup shots.
Yeah,
for that. Or
agreed.
Monsters versus Aliens.
Oh, okay.
Where they do similar stuff. I mean, these are standard run of the mill jokes in some cases. It's funny. It's nice to see. Okay, yeah, this is how it's affecting the rest of the world. You do need a shot when all this weather is starting to grow out from Swallow Falls.
Yeah.
You do need a shot to see how it's affecting the rest of the world, but the fact that it should be, you're going to show the monuments because everyone knows the monuments,
right?
But then you make the joke that it's attacking the monument, the weather's affecting the monuments first, and then spreading out. It's like, just show it attacking the city and have the monument in the background so you can know at a glance. Oh, all the spaghetti happens to be falling on Rome. How do we know? Oh, it fell across the Roman Colosseum. That's a funny joke. That can be done well.
Yeah.
The idea of the BLT falling on the
Eiffel Tower.
That's a funny visual image.
Yeah.
And I think they animated that very well, but you did not have to be the center of it. You could show actual danger attacking these people, falling upon these people with all this food there, but they focus solely on the joke material.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I know it's a kids movie. I know it's a joke. I know your jokes are your focus.
Right.
But the writing is better than this than what the visual gags are allowing it to do in a lot of cases. And the other thing is, I know what Lord and Miller are capable of.
Yeah.
Because this is not my first rodeo with them.
Right.
I've seen Lego Movie. Granted, that came after this.
Yes.
I've seen Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Granted, that came after this.
Yes.
I don't know off the top of my head what movies they did before this. And maybe this was the first... I might grant that maybe this was the first time they were given free reign to do whatever they wanted, but still had to follow in the reins of whatever Sony Picture Animation wanted to do with the film. But it's things that, when I look at this, make me wonder, was this what Solo was in for when Lord and Miller were supposed to be directing that?
Oh, okay.
Before that got changed.
Yeah.
Is this very much is Lord and Miller at their weakest?
Yeah, agreed.
Granted, I like Lord and Miller as comedy directors. But this is them at their weakest. This is them at their being safe.
Yeah.
With everything they're doing.
Agreed.
We're not getting the jokes later on that we'll get with the Lego Movie where they're able to pull a lot more with from what they're pulling from.
Yeah.
Or Spider-Verse where you actually feel the loss of Peter Parker.
Yeah.
In that first bit of that movie. Granted, I love the fact that, we talked about Spider-Verse, and it's the first film to come out with after Stan Lee's death, and you even get a nice one. It wasn't intended.
Yeah.
That one was intended for that. But I've seen what they are capable of doing, even unintentionally.
Yeah.
With emotional moments. And granted, this is not meant to be that emotional a movie in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
This is just meant to be a funny, goofy kids movie. But I've seen funny, goofy kids movies that had more heart than this.
Yeah.
I can accept it as a Looney Tunes cartoon, like I said. But this is a run-of-the-mill Looney Tunes cartoon. This is not one of the greats.
Yeah, agreed.
So yeah, that's my third dislike, is this is not as good as it could have been.
Okay.
Which brings us to the end of this review.
Yes.
What are you rating it?
Okay, so after all of this...
And I'm letting you get the low number out first.
Oh, okay.
Because I suspect we are on different...
probably.
Different sides of this.
Probably. Well, after all said and done, and you brought up some really good points that maybe I had not looked at.
Yeah. No, we've both only seen the movie twice, because this is only this is the third time I've seen it.
Okay.
But it's been a while.
Okay. So I'm going to give this a 6.
Okay.
We give it a 6. Granted, the fact that I forgot, I didn't think of this in the proper review, that it's a movie that underplays its audience. You're thinking it's like, oh, okay, let's just play everything for laughs, play just gags.
In some ways, it's thinking of itself like Ugly Dolls thought of itself.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I didn't like about the film. It's literally, let's just play everything for laughs. Let's not put any logic behind anything.
Yeah.
Let's just put fuzzy logic behind everything. There's no science behind anything. And
magic science.
It's magic science, which is not the way you do it.
But there is logic in how the magic science works.
Yeah,
it's
kind of
more obvious in the next movie how that goes.
Right. Kind of like Addams Family.
Yeah.
Addams Family 1 was just like,
it was a run of the mill movie.
It was a run of the mill movie. The second one did a whole lot better.
And honestly, I think that's how this goes. Honestly, Hotel Transylvania had the same problem. Except the third movie was worse.
Yeah. I agree.
I haven't seen the fourth.
So yeah, this
probably this October.
This movie does have a lot of problems. Definitely with its there's they overplay into the not the tragic character, but the character who is being pushed into situations. There's a little too much overemphasis on that, and there again, some plot points are just so dumb. So dumb, and they don't need to be there. They could be like, this movie could have been a whole lot better if they would have played to the audience, not play like they're just dumb little children who don't think. And I think it's one of my main problems with this film is that they think children are stupid. They think they're dumb, and they don't go into, or they don't they don't expect people to think in this film. They don't spend to. I think it's kind of it's a disservice to the kids because kids think. Or they
I don't think that's actually the writer and director's fault.
Okay.
I think that's more of the producer's fault.
Okay.
That's just a theory I have.
Yeah, they're getting
Sony Pictures, a lot like Blue Sky Studios, and for a while there, they literally were underplaying kids.
Underplaying their audience. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this movie does suffer from that.
Mm-hmm.
And just I'm giving it a 6. Would I recommend it to a little kid to have fun with? Yes. If you get into like an adult and be like me who overthinks things, like you're just gonna get So 6.
Anyway, I was gonna say just be like Elsa and let it go.
But I can't hold it back anymore. Let the food flow. just bury yourself in food already.
Okay, I'm actually giving it a 7.
Oh, okay.
The jokes I think hit better for me, and the fact that I wouldn't say I turn my brain off, but I accept the logic of this a lot easier than you do.
Yeah.
I think is what helps.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps that I kind of know where the next film is. Granted, I saw this first one, and the first time I watched this before I saw the second one, and I just enjoyed it for its goofiness. And I can accept it for goofiness. But, I mean, even then, I was like, yeah, this is a middle-of-the-road film.
Yeah, agreed.
And that's all it is. It's a middle-of film. I enjoy it. I think it's got potential.
Okay.
And I think that potential is realized in the next film. But in this film, that doesn't quite live up to the potential.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm giving it a 7.
Okay.
Which brings us to the end of this film. Next film we are reviewing is going to be... I just mentioned Blue Sky earlier, and we are reviewing a Blue Sky film next. Epic.
Ah, we are. That's right.
Okay. The trivia for the next movie... Our trivia question is, what are the Leaf Men modeled after?
That's interesting. I haven't even seen this film yet.
So
we'll figure it out next time.
Yeah, we'll figure that out next time. In the meantime, though, this is not the transition. This is not the end of this review.
No, it's not.
Because now we're going into our review of our animated series review of Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure, Season 2, Episodes 1 and 2. What is the name of this thing? Beyond the Corona Walls.
And the Masters of the Universe.
Thundercats are on the move. Thundercats are loose. Cocktails, woo.
Let's get dangerous.
Building a rocket or fighting a mummy or climbing up the Eiffel Tower.
The pinky and the brain.
Welcome to the animated series.
Bravo. It's nice.
We are reviewing Beyond the Corona Walls, which is Season 2. Like I said earlier, it's Season 2, Episodes 1 and 2 of Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure. If you have not seen any of Season 1, go watch that. And we do have reviews of that back in the feed, so go look for that. But anyway, this episode was directed by Joe O and written by Jace Rickey. The cast, I'm going to mention the whole main cast here, and this will be the only time I mention the main cast.
Okay.
Going forward, but since it's the first time we're doing it this way, we had Zachary Levi playing Eugene, Mandy Moore as Rapunzel, Eden Espinoza as Cassandra, James Monroe Aglehart as Lance Strongbow, Jeffrey Ross as Hookfoot, and Paul F. Tompkins as Shorty. Guest actors for this one. We've got Britt Robertson as Vex, Yvonne Sharvosky as Stallion,
Mm-hmm.
Lance Henriksen as the Baron, Gideon Emery as Weasel, Ralph Innocent as Cutter, Kelly Hugh as Adira, Jonathan Banks as Kieran, and, once again, Bruce Campbell as King Edmund.
I love that how these two just gonna tie in with.
We did not
one
plan
actor.
that.
Not planned at all.
Getting into the plot for this one. 25 years ago, Kieran and a warrior named Adira once served the king Edmund of a kingdom that was consumed by the Black Rocks. The king had tried to destroy the opal, which he believed to be the cause of the rocks, to no avail. After many failed attempts, King Edmund advised Kieran and Adira to leave the castle and keep anyone from ever finding the opal. In the present, after frustrating Varian's attempts at vengeance, Rapunzel goes out on the road with her friends. It has been a week since she has left Corona, and she is excited to be on her first trip beyond the kingdom walls, celebrating their journey with the song Next Stop Anywhere. Accompanying her on her journey are Eugene Fitzherbert, Cassandra, Pascal, Maximus, Fidela, Al, Lance Strongbow, and Hookfoot. Together they ride through the country in a large, colorful caravan following the trail of the Black Rocks. About a week after they have set out, Eugene is in the caravan speaking with Lance and Hookfoot, planning to propose to Rapunzel again when they reach Vardaros. He is confident that he will succeed this time, but Lance and Hookfoot are not so sure that Rapunzel is ready to settle down, especially since she is now out of free in the world for the first time in her life. Lance and Hookfoot go looking for a picnic spot while Eugene remains in the caravan rehearsing his proposal. Listening in against the door, Rapunzel accidentally catches him on his knees presenting an engagement ring. Eugene tries to convince Rapunzel that he was not asking her to marry him. Just then, they hear a strange scream. Cassandra has found Shorty stowed away in the food truck where he fell asleep after having eaten all of their supplies.
Thanks, Shorty.
The group finally arrives at Vardaros, which appears to have become, much to Eugene and Lance's shock, a sketchy, rundown city crawling with shady people. Everyone decides to keep a low profile while in town. Rapunzel and Cassandra take the caravan back to the campsite while Eugene, Lance, Hookfoot, and Shorty collect the supplies. Soon, however, people in the shadows take notice and recognize Eugene, and news of his arrival quickly spreads throughout the city, reaching a castle which is home to the notorious kingpin known as the Baron. Anthony the Weasel, one of his retainers, is keen to dispose of Ryder, but the Baron wishes to settle things with Eugene personally. In town, Eugene, Lance, Hookfoot, and Shorty are on their way back to the camp with the supplies when a girl calls out to them that Rapunzel is in trouble. They follow her and become surrounded by the Baron's men. They agree to buy the Weasel who paid the girl, known as Vex, to lure them into their trap. Meanwhile, back at the campsite outside the city, Rapunzel and Cassandra are met by Adira, who wishes to have a private chat with Rapunzel. Cassandra does not trust her and stands in her way, despite not wanting to fight. Adira reluctantly engaged the two girls in a duel. She easily and amusedly fights them off and disarms them. The fighting does not stop until Adira discovers the nature of Rapunzel's hair, which she fails to cut it off. Her wrist with the black rock bladed sword. Just then, Hookfoot shows up and Adira leaves, promising to seek them out later. He explains that he has just escaped from the Weasel's men and tells Rapunzel that Eugene has been captured along with Lance and Shorty. At the Baron's castle, Eugene, Lance, and Shorty are brought before the Baron and his daughter, Stallion, who was also Eugene's ex-fiancée.
Mm-hmm.
Long before Eugene met Rapunzel, he was engaged to Stallion, until he stood her up at the altar. Afterwards, Stallion swore that if she ever saw him again, she would break every bone in his body. But after a while, she got over it and decided that they were still meant to be for each other. The Baron offers Eugene a proposition. Keep good on his promise he made to his daughter and marry her, or suffer painful consequences, along with Lance and Shorty. To get his point across, the Baron allows a venomous spider to bite Lance. Unless Eugene marries Stallion, Lance will die from the spider's venom within hours, unless he is given the antidote in time. Rapunzel, Cassandra, and Hookfoot arrive back in town looking for Eugene. They hear the Baron announcing Stallion's upcoming wedding to the citizens of Vardaros. Waiting backstage, Eugene attempts to convince Stallion not to go through with this plot. He confesses he is already in love with somebody else. Surprisingly, Stallion is already well aware of Eugene's love for Rapunzel, how he rescued the lost princess from her tower, but induces Eugene to doubt his relationship with Rapunzel, questioning whether it would be right for her to give up her newfound freedom for a life with a common thief. Shortly after Stallion goes on stage to make her appearance, and soon after the Baron introduces Eugene as her fiancé, shocking Rapunzel, Cassandra, Pascal, and Hookfoot. Rapunzel approaches the stage, demanding an explanation. Eugene tries to explain, but Stallion interrupts him, insisting he has joined them. Rapunzel refuses to believe Stallion's claims, but Eugene, seeing Lance growing weaker, is unable to reveal the truth to her. He simply apologizes, stating he has made his choice, and departs alongside Stallion, leaving Rapunzel heartbroken. Back at the camp, Rapunzel is still heartbroken by what Eugene has done, unaware that he has been forced into marrying Stallion. She recalls the first time he asked her to marry him and wishes she could take it. She could take it back what she said before. Cassandra feels sorry for Rapunzel, despite being disagreeable towards each other. She has known Eugene long enough to know that he would never do something like this to Rapunzel. Helping her regain her spirit, Cassandra encourages Rapunzel to rescue Eugene. Eugene too wishes he could change the past, and both contemplate their lost opportunities in the song If I Could Take That Moment Back. With some help from Vex, Rapunzel and friends sneak into the wedding just as the ceremony is about to begin. They find Eugene waiting at the altar as Stallion walks down the aisle with her father. The Baron begins to officiate the wedding, but is interrupted when Rapunzel, revealing herself and declaring her love to Eugene. Rapunzel touches the Black Rocks, intending to release their power, but to her surprise, nothing happens.
Whoops.
Anthony ties Eugene to a rope. A fight soon ensues between the Baron's henchmen and Rapunzel's friends, including Adira, who later joins in two of the Baron's. This is weirdly written. Adira, who later joins in against two of the Baron's henchmen, get ropes and ties Maximus to them after he knocks 3 other henchmen down. Stallion attempts to escape with a captive Eugene, but Rapunzel ties him to her hair. Soon after, Rapunzel and Stallion begin fighting over Eugene. Pascal creates a distraction by startling Stallion, setting Eugene free from her grasp. Adira cuts the ropes that were tied to Eugene and Maximus with her sword, and the Baron engages in battle with Eugene, throwing Pascal off him and on Lance, and successfully pins the latter down. As he prepares to unleash his spider, Shorty's clumsiness causes the spider to bite the Baron instead. The Baron desperately searches for the antivenom, but has already been stolen by Pascal while he was on the Baron and used to cure Lance. The Baron tries to strike Eugene down in vengeance, but is thwarted by Rapunzel. The Baron and his henchmen are forced to flee, Stallion carrying her injured father, but not before Stallion informs Eugene she will someday settle things between them once and for all, leaving a happily reunited Eugene and Rapunzel behind. The next day, Rapunzel learns from Adira that the rocks no longer react when she touches them because they have found the sun drop and are now guiding her to her destiny, which lies within the Dark Kingdom. Adira shows the princess the remaining part of the ancient scroll and leaves as Rapunzel and her friends get back on their journey, determining to make the most of whatever may happen. With the reprise of Next Stop Anywhere, Adora looks on and smiles. Getting into the trivia, from this point forward, the series is now titled Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure.
Mm-hmm.
It is revealed that Rapunzel no longer has the ability to control the Black Rocks, which show no reaction when she touches them. This is the first time Princess Rapunzel meets Adira, who has her speaking debut here, as she did technically show up at the end of the previous episode.
Mm-hmm.
Stallion references the events of the movie Tangled, when Rapunzel was confined inside her tower for 18 years, when the latter was abducted by Mother Gothel. And starting from this episode, Princess Rapunzel and Eugene receive new outfits. Eugene wears gloves for the first time, although he is wearing the shirt that he wore from his original outfit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the end of the trivia. Since I've been talking a lot, you start off with your thoughts on this episode.
Oh my gosh, the setup they're doing with this is absolutely insane. If you watch the series, you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I know this guy.
I know more than
he knows what.
I know some stuff that's going up. The bad part about trying to do research when you're trying not to get spoiled is you accidentally run across things.
Yes. So
I'm slightly spoiled, but
so we get all this amazing setup of like who's this king, who's the king,
King Edmund.
Who's King Edmund? We get up what is the Dark Kingdom? What is that? And this is the direction we're going. And you get all these little nice setups where Cassandra and Rapunzel are kind of having issues, And I love how they started this. They planted this little seed to where things are going to go in certain directions, and I really enjoy that about this story, this series in general, because it's a lot of amazing world building, and it's just creative and insightful what they're doing with every episode. It's not just be like, oh, here's a throwaway episode, here's a throwaway. Everything has some kind of intent.
Yeah.
And that's what I really enjoy about it. And that's one of the things I really enjoy about it. It's just like the world building, the creativity they put into it, and they don't waste any time with it. So, oh my gosh, just be like, you get into Eugene or Flynn getting into the city, and everybody knows him as Eugene. Yeah,
everyone knows him as Flynn Rider.
That's Flynn Rider. I'm sorry, knows him as Flynn Rider, and it's just the idea that his past is catching up with him, like always, like he can never escape his past. And in this episode, we be like, oh, he I love it when characters are their past comes barreling into them, and Eugene definitely gets his comeuppance in a lot of ways throughout the series. This one in particular, where he dumped Stallion at the altar, and now is coming to bite him in the butt.
Well, that's the thing you have to remember. In season 1, they first start mentioning the Baron.
Yeah,
they mention why the Baron doesn't like them is because how they stole his prize stallion.
Yeah, we didn't know what stallion was.
Bear in mind, I like to watch things with subtitles on. And I'm just going to point out that during season 1, anytime they mentioned the Baron's prize stallion, it was spelt as the horse. Stalllion. When I first watched this, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
When we were first going through these, I caught that there was something more going on when he said stallion and it was spelled Stallyn.
Right.
I thought, wait a minute, either that's a very bad spelling mistake. Oh,
it's like
stallion is a person.
Yes.
She's a master thief.
And
she was going to marry Flynn. But he, for some reason, left her at the altar.
That's never a good idea.
Well, I mean, he was destined to go to Rapunzel, as we well know.
That is true. That is so true.
He
had to get his
he did not handle the separation from Stallion very well.
I agree. Completely agree. The fact to be like Eugene or Flynn has now got himself in a corner to where now Lance has been poisoned and he doesn't have a choice. He doesn't have a choice in this.
Right.
And I love it to be like, he's not be like, oh, I'm just going to fight the Baron. He knows he can't fight the Baron. Be like, he knows he has to save his best friend. If that's, what he has to do in order to save Lance, be like, yes, he loves Rapunzel.
Right.
He's caught in a bind.
And he thinks that he can't let her know what's going on.
Exactly.
Because they're on him like the entire time. And admittedly, they don't want him to escape if he was going to try, but
right.
I mean, he has to get the anti-venom for Lance either way. I just have to say, I love Lance's delirium throughout this episode.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, I love Lance.
Your nose looks like a strawberry.
I just want to eat it.
I don't know. I just want to eat it. I don't know why they call it strawberry. It doesn't look like straw. They ought to call it noseberry because it looks like your nose.
Oh my gosh! Yes,
Clovis, you gotta. I always wanted a cat named Clovis. Clovis, you got a goatee. Clovis, you shaved your goatee. I hope he gets a cat named Clovis later on.
Oh gosh, the Lance is always he's always been a very interesting. He's the comedy relief character, or the bounce off from Eugene, and this like you.
Well, he's the Cassandra to his Rapunzel.
Yeah,
I get right down to it.
Except it's similar.
Well,
it's very
actually,
similar.
let me rephrase. Lance is the Rapunzel to his
Exactly. There we go.
Cassandra.
That's a good point.
That's really more how it is.
because it's
He's
flipped.
Yeah, it's flipped. That's why he and Cassandra butt heads all the time, is because they are the same personality.
They are. And yeah, I mean, like these 2 episodes are gives you a good lead into a good setup to what's happening, and you get this journey to the Dark Kingdom.
Yeah.
Now,
Which is the setup for this second season.
For the second season, this is the direction they're going, and so you get this.
Which, considering the rules that Adira, the orders that Adira got at the beginning of this episode, makes me wonder why she's helping them. But I'm assuming that will be explained later on.
It will be revealed. It will be very much explained, and it's a very good explanation.
Okay.
And we get that explanation actually in one of my favorite episodes.
We'll get there when we get there.
Exactly. Yeah, just overall, this is an amazing episode. Like, you get the Baron gets his comeuppance with his spider, and I guess it's poor Lance. Poor Lance is awesome, but he just a
man already is scared of spiders.
Yeah, gets bit by a spider,
and it's going to kill him.
But
poor Lance.
Yeah, poor Lance.
I don't know why Rapunzel thinks the ice sculpture of the swan is, what'd she call it? Why she didn't like it? I don't understand that.
Just never. Yeah,
it's a weird line, and the fact that she and Eugene are on separate sides of that are weird. But anyway,
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, great setup, great story, great little comedy bits, and it's definitely a testament of how these characters have grown with each other through season 1. And then you get the throw in of Adira. It's like she's the mysterious character, which like nobody knows. She beats Cassandra very easily, and it's just like, oh, this girl's got skill.
Yeah,
and she's got a sword that is made assumed to be made of the black rocks.
Well, it did cut black rocks.
But
it doesn't cut Rapunzel's hair.
And that's
interestingly enough.
Yes. And I would say, not going into spoilers, but that sword comes into very, very good points later on in the series.
Well, all right then. Well, we will have to get to that point when we get there. But in the meantime, we do need to go ahead and wrap up for the evening. Most of our information is going to be in the outro, but in the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page, Drew's Photo Bin, to see his photography. His Letterboxd page at GGeorge759. His Twitter at GGeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast, on Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming, on YouTube at Cellcast, on Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.